Hello, I want to talk to you today about what do you have to start teaching with VIPKids. So there are about 5 things, I think, that I would say are absolutely essential. One is your reward system. I'll talk about that in a second. Another one is a set of flashcards. I have one that shows letters, numbers, shapes, colors, and maybe, no, that's it. Okay, a set of flashcards. I would also say a dry erase magnetic board is not necessarily maybe essential, but pretty close. I use this thing all the time. I would also get a couple stuffed animals toys to model with, and then I would also just some sort of background. And it doesn't matter; it can be plain, but it needs to have some sort of educational look to it. So I got the little streamer fun thing. I got most of this from either Target, Dollar Spot, Amazon, or I just already had it. So it's easy. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. My whole background was less than $40. I've talked about that in a different video. As far as the reward system, I got the tree with 5 apples and 5 owls off of Etsy. And so I can kind of alternate between these two. I also have from Target Dollar Spot an octopus with some seashells. So I use that. I use a star. So one of my kids has the stars on their room and we had a few left over. I leave this by my keyboard and I can be like, oh, you got a star, good. So I do that. Really and truly, I use all kinds of stuff, but those are the essentials. And I want to break some of those down today and talk to you about how I use them and what that looks like as I'm actually teaching. So here we go. Okay, so in addition to the star, I like having the big magnetic board behind me. That's absolutely not a necessity though. Like you could do without it. I just like having my letters all out like that. So I'm not having to dig through a drawer or a bag or whatever of all the different letters. That helps me transition really easy from one class to another and helps me prepare really fast because I don't have to dig. Like I know where the letters are. They're not super neat. I actually started out with them all lined up, alphabetical, and just over time they've gotten to be this. But they're still somewhat in order for the most part, so it's easy and quick to grab something. I also would recommend having something. So a dog, a stuffed bear, just some sort of like stuffed animal, because when you have the little bitty kids that are shy, you can talk like this instead of you talking to them at first. And sometimes that gets them warmed up, and then you can kind of bring the animal back, and you talk to the animal, they talk to the animal, that gets them talking. And then they're able to go on and like open up and start talking to you more. So I would definitely have something like this. And it's really good for like conversation modeling if you're trying to get them to talk or to answer instead of just parrot. Because what happens a lot of times, I've seen this with so many kids, is I'll say, how old are you? And they'll go, how old are you? And I'm like, no, how old are you? And they're like, how old are you? I'm like, oh, what I figured out is if you have 2, you can go, puppy dog, how old are you? I am 5 years old. Molly, how old are you? And usually then they'll get it. So I would recommend having stuffed animals for that purpose. I also keep a dry erase marker, and I keep a dry erase flat board. It's one of those shower boards you can get at Home Depot. I don't know how to show you. I'll take a picture. I'll post it. But kind of under my computer. So on the table, and I write each student's name that I'm going to have that day on there, starting at the bottom and going up. And that way I can look and first of all remember their name. If halfway through the lesson I'm like, what was it? If it's the first time I've had them, that might happen. Especially if they have like a name that's hard to pronounce. I'll write kind of the phonetic spelling of it, not the actual spelling. And then I can make little notes as we go through the lesson. So I'll write like something they struggled with. On the left, I write on the right something that they did good or that we covered. Because then when I'm writing my review at the end of class, it helps to just be able to glance over. Because if you try to remember, because I thought at first, like, I'll remember that, I just did it. Yeah, when it's your sixth class in the day and you've done 3.5 hours of teaching at that point and you're teaching, you get to the end and you're like, oh my God, what did we cover? What was it? I don't know. I don't remember what the first of the lesson covered. I mean, obviously I can remember the end, but that first part, sometimes I blank out. So it's just good to have little, or what did they struggle with? Like, I'll remember the big topic, but like, was it this kid that pronounced that wrong? I don't know. So I make little notes to myself, and they're just little shorthand, real super simple, but it gives me just that little prompt so that at the end of the lesson, I can get my write-up in before the next class starts. They want you to have an educational background. So cheap, Target, Dollar Spot, Amazon, everything. I've talked about that before in other videos. But really, I think that's about it. One of the most common props I use is this one right here. Because I can go, what do you see? And they laugh and they think it's funny. Another one, I don't know where it went. I have my baby's like sun hat that's too small. It's even too small for him. He's 18 months old. So it like fits up here. And hat comes up a lot in lessons. So the word hat, they'll blend at with, initial consonant sounds, or they're talking about different parts of clothing, or they're talking about their head, and I can say hat is on my head, whatever. I put that hat on every single time, no matter what age, because it looks ridiculous. They start laughing. So just a few silly props like that helps. I have a pig that I got at Target Dollar Spot that the ball pops out of. They think that's great too. Like catch, if it's action. The pig runs, right? The pig gets his ball. The pig eats his ball. There's a lot of uses for like one prop. So you don't have to go out and buy a whole bunch of props. Just get a few things and you can really use them kind of multiple ways and use different strategies with different props. I have an American flag because that comes up in multiple lessons, just talking about countries or cultures or flags or whatever. Yeah, this was $3 at Target, I think. That's about it. So that's what I would recommend if you're starting off, just kind of your basic idea. I leave the flashcards right next to my keyboard. I leave the star and the rewards, either the apples or the owls or the seashells, sitting right there on my computer or right next to it so that I can reach over and grab it and not have to look up. I know exactly where it is. And even when a kid's talking, I can go through my flashcards in my head and go C, D, E, F, G, and then I have the letter H if I need it, if I didn't have a chance to draw it out beforehand. So that's what I do. And if I have to glance down once, even one time I was like, I'm looking for 2. Do you see it? Right? And I found it when I got there. So you can keep in all the flashcards right there. It's helped me a lot, especially when I teach the 4 or 5 hour stretch. I don't have everything lined up individually per class, but I'll straighten my flashcards really quick in between classes, and I will write my evaluation. It takes about 2 to 3, 4 minutes to do that. And then also in between classes, I will always make sure and get my rewards off of the tree. There's been a couple times that I've left them up there, and then the next lesson when I go to say, if you do a good job, you get an apple. I'm like, oh, there's apples on the tree. So I kind of do this number, and I'm like, you get in. And I grab them, and I'm like, an apple. So I really try now. I've gotten in the habit of just as soon as I write my evaluation, I turn around and grab these and lay them back down. Something else, play with your rewards. So when it's an apple, like, you got an apple. Do you like apples? Me too. And then put it up there. Or if it's an owl, you did a good job. You get an owl. Ooh, 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 ooh. Good. And put it up there. So whatever. If it's the octopus and the seashell, I don't know, splash or something. I didn't never really do much with that one because I don't know what to do with that one. Anyway, so that's what I would say to have. I will also keep sticky notes because they help me remember anything I need to write down, like that I want to get, or something about a specific kid that I need to make a note of or whatever. So I keep a stack of sticky notes and a pen as well. A mouse. I don't use my mouse very often. I usually use my trackpad on my laptop. But you have to tell kids, Amy, draw a circle. And if you actually have a mouse, they're like, oh, she wants me to do that. If you're just doing this, a lot of times they'll actually take their finger and draw an air circle as well. So having that mouse to show them what you're talking about helps them visually understand you. So even if it doesn't work, if it's old or whatever, just a mouse is good. I think that's it. Make sure your lighting's good. Make sure you have a comfortable chair. I have a pillow in mine because I don't have a comfortable chair, so I have a pillow to lean on. Because again, when you're sitting in it from, my schedule most mornings is 3:30 to either 6, 6:30, or 7. So it's a long time to sit still. Try to make yourself comfortable, but you also want a chair that you're going to sit up in. You don't want to be like teaching like that. So yeah, that's what I would do. If you have any questions, as always, my info will be down below, and have a good one. Bye. Okay, so the main things: flashcards, dry erase board that is magnetic, letters, and a couple stuffed animals, bonus if one of them's a dinosaur, a star, a reward system, and you're good. If you have those things with some sort of backdrop, y'all, for my interview, I used a plain white sheet with this map on it, like tacked on it. It was probably not the best, but it worked and they were good with it. It doesn't have to be fancy. I could do with either one of these. I wouldn't even have to have both. I just have a plain window back there. I like having both. I think it looks more fun. And then I also have that. It's just a magazine holder thing, but I keep all my props. Oh, there's a hat. So I keep all the props in it. And you can just see like stuffed animals. I have like a toy car. I have some blocks to just grab for like different color illustrations. And I have a bunch of like a set of, I don't know, 20 maybe little finger puppets. So yeah, I use those. If we're doing M, we have a mouse. If we're doing R, we have a rat. I have a bear. I need a bear. I have a big bear. So if we're doing size, I have big bear, small bear. So I use the finger puppets for all kinds of stuff to illustrate different things. But really and truly, if you have flashcards and a reward system and a background and some sort of modeling thing, you're good. You are absolutely good. I recommend the star. I recommend the dry erase board that's magnetic. But they're probably not a necessity by any stretch. Okay, so finally, I want to show you how I use a couple of these props. So I'm not going to actually have a PowerPoint up there. I'm going off of memory, so I'm not saying that this is an exact slide from VIPKids lessons, but I will tell you that the letter P is a lot of times in your mock 2. So you might see this, you might not, but at least you can get some general ideas from it, even if you don't copy it exactly. So yeah, so this is how I would do it. If we were doing the letter P and it was a little, younger child, obviously for just basic phonics, I would do something like this. Big P. Yes, big P. Big P. Small P. Small P. Yes, good. Small P. Yes. Okay. Yes. P makes the sound. P makes the sound. Yes. P makes the sound. What sound does P make? Yes, very good. You got a star. High five. job. Yes. Pig. Pig. Yes. Pig. What sound does he make? Yes. Pink pig. Pink pig. Very good. You get an apple. Mm-hmm. Apple. Yes. Very good. Okay, so you see how I would do maybe the letter P. I might use other things besides a pig. I might not do pink. If they were having a really hard time, pink is not on the slide, I would not bring this into it. But if they were like, pink, whatever, and they weren't struggling, I would, throw in a color. And then look, I even have another one. So I could extend and go, 2 pink pigs, 1, right? So there's all different stuff you can do. And that's one thing I think is fun, is that they don't lock you down to a specific word for word. It's not scripted for you. You do get to teach it a little bit how you want, which allows you to cater to that student and extend if they're understanding it and they're getting it, and really focus in on the basics if they're struggling. So that's fun. That shows you how I use some of the props. I've used, so the star, the pig, and I used a flashcard, and then I had my reward system as an apple this time. So it showed you 4 different props. You could do that on every screen or every letter. You could do that so simple. So usually there's like 4 letters maybe covered in a basic phonics deal. So like a pig and 3 other things and you're good. And 1 or 2 of them, if you can't find, you've still got your props. You're still covered. So good luck teaching. If you have any questions, my info's below. Bye.